Insurance is probably one of the most difficult things to sell in the African market, especially in Nigeria, and it's largely because it's one that is something people pray they never really get to use for religious purposes and cultural reasons. Um, so for the fact that the average Nigerian or West African out there believes that every form of cover has to come from God or the deity of some sort, most don't opt for insurance. And the places where we see that insurance is mostly used are basically, at the moment, are scenarios whereby it's actually government enforced. Take, for example, your vehicle insurance. That's why vehicle insurance sells today. So one of the key challenges that insurance companies face is these cultures having to overcome the cultural belief that, oh, the people don't need it or the people don't need insurance. That's one. Two is people really trust insurance companies as well. Of course, especially in this part of the world where we've seen some insurance companies that have refused to pay claims to customers, even though there were incidents that claims should have been paid. And as a result of that, trust has been one of the reasons for which people would rather save their money in a bank and hope that they will never get to use it for that emergency. And thirdly is the distribution, right? Today, insurance is largely sold via agents or what via sales agents. So most insurance companies today basically keep or they maintain a pool of service agents or they go through service insurance brokers. And distribution is largely hinged on these guys. So meaning that if you have an agent who is or a broker who is basically going to be porting away from an existing insurance company to another one, he will basically be moving his customers away. And so those things, right, I see them as challenges for the insurance business. So the fact that insurance companies rarely get to sell their insurance product directly. And this basically talks about distribution. As a result, that also impacts the revenue. And if you also look at the trend for the past maybe 10 years thereabouts, you find the fact that either that some of these insurance companies have not been capitalized enough or they've paid out claims, right? And they've not taken care of their insurance arm well. And then you find them declaring profits in 2, 3 years, and then in the fourth year where they are paying off a major claim, right? And especially one of those claims are maybe maritime claims, for example, and they have to pay out those things in dollars, whereas premiums are collected in naira. We find them running into a loss and basically leading to a sell-off of such businesses, which basically happened about 2, 3 years ago. If a lot of insurance companies they were being sold or being acquired of some sort. So those are the challenges I think I've seen in Nigeria and in West Africa, basically. So the omni-channel insurance platform basically speaks to a platform that allows you to sell or to distribute insurance via multiple channels, right? And those multiple channels today, the most of the digital channels that we know that we are comfortable with or that we are aware of include APIs, for example, mobile and web apps, in recent times, USSD apps in some cases. So the idea is that at the back or on the service layer of the application of the platform, there is a singular service layer that allows you to have multiple channels through which your customers can engage you. And in such a way that specifically for insurance, saying that insurance is something that sometimes needs to be sold with a lot of help, it should also cover things like an a channel whereby agents and brokers can also manage the business and as in terms of having to see the revenues they're making, manage the customers they're onboarding. If they have sales targets, are they meeting or are they performing on those things? So those are some of the key things that I see that that basically makes up the omni-channel insurance. Omnichannel platforms basically help to drive distribution, right? And one of the key challenges about buying insurance today is that most insurance channels today are not easily accessible, in the sense that, for example, if I want to buy vehicle insurance today, right? I don't know of an app that I can easily, that comes to my mind, right? That I can easily just go on and go and buy my insurance. Instead, I'll visit the local government office where I'll meet the people who do vehicle paper registration, and then I'll also give them the money for them to get me insurance for my vehicle. So what this does is, if we bring an omni-channel insurance into the system, right? Basically, one of the things that you'll be looking at is that you'll be increasing distribution, right? So you're basically driving and putting the capacity for people, enabling people to be able to buy insurance directly, thereby reducing the costs for businesses, while we are not necessarily going to take out the agents in the process. One of the things that the omni-channel insurance, a typical omni-channel insurance that does, is also to take care of scenarios where agents themselves, and empower agents to even sell insurance a lot more, as well as brokers. So that in itself is something that is quite significant, right? In the sense that the omni-channel insurance platform would help drive distribution in a massive way, and thereby increase acceptance. And also, giving an omni-channel platform can also help massively in ensuring and guaranteeing revenue, in the sense that on those channels, right, payments can be made. And if payments can be made, and if the payment tokens are tokenized in quotes, right? So that when my insurance expires, when my insurance policy expires, I get debited automatically on my card to pay, just as though I'm paying for my TV subscription or my Netflix or any of such things, right? So digitizing it will help achieve that. And also, in if we will also be considering API as a channel, right? We will be looking at where we can give APIs to third-party institutions that can help distribute insurance or sell insurance. Take, for example, when you are buying airline tickets, there's always an insurance fee for your luggage, right? Imagine that you who are basically selling vehicle insurance or life insurance or home insurance, right? You give APIs to entities such as mortgage companies, so that when people are applying for a mortgage, right, as part of the package comes with a home insurance. When people are buying vehicles, whether used or new ones, partnering with local vehicle vendors, giving them APIs or platforms to ensure that they can sell, or even distributing this to banks, fintech players such as the agency banking providers. Democratizing their access to insurance via APIs is basically one of the key ways in which the omni-channel insurance can help insurance businesses grow their revenue, increase their market share, and also ensure easy access to customers, and also guaranteeing and ensuring their revenue. A few of the key things they face, I'll be listing them out. One is having to integrate to legacy systems. A couple of these insurance companies use some use very old underwriting applications. Some of those applications don't even have APIs in some cases. Two is having to define the scope of what the omni-channel or the digitizing project is all about, right? In addition to that, we'll be thinking about the scope in itself, right? And defining the optimal user experience to meet the specific needs. So take, for example, when you are digitizing your insurance business, the question is, are you building apps for your agents for now? Are you building apps for your customers for now? Are you building apps for your back office team for now? And a way to ensure that it is all seamlessly integrated in such a way that it doesn't impact negatively the way the business currently runs in the back office, because even change needs to be managed in a way that is not so much disruptive in a negative way, but rather enables the business to reach its key objectives. And in addition to that, you also want to compare or verify that whatever digitization that the business is trying to it is in line with the business goal as a whole. So some businesses might want to focus more on selling insurance via their agent network because they feel it's stronger, or maybe they understand that, oh, they have to sell. So you have to build an experience that basically um, captures what the strategic goal of the organization is and how the organization will integrate to such a platform. The insurance companies basically, especially an organization that basically wants to make things happen, is to define what is really important. The truth is, technology is largely an enabler, and there are a lot of things that can be done, right? But the question is defining what needs to be done, and defining what needs to be done on the basis of what is most important. And based on that, prioritizing is actually one I think that is the most important thing. Two is clearly defining the business objective, right? Apart from knowing that, oh, okay, these are the list of the features that I want, these are the things, there's also clear definition of, as a business, what is your focus on, right? So that whatever it is that is being built, right, you would need to what's it called? You need to ensure that you are in line with what your goal is. And there's also a need for businesses, right, to actually upgrade some of their core systems, right, to ensure that I think these things are covered, because there's a limit to how much technology sometimes can be integrated, right? So today we find out that in big banks in the US, for example, we find out that a lot of the applications, some of them still run on very legacy languages like COBOL. But what they've been able to do is to build interfaces, right, that sits comfortably with those core legacy systems in such a way that even new applications basically will come through a middleware that is API enabled, possibly REST APIs, that will ensure that integrations to such core legacy systems are are possible. Largely, insurance, the key reasons why insurance people are in business today is because of the people, right? So from what I see it, I think key things are, one, customer acquisition and retention. So the features should, and even the user experience should be built in such a way that customer acquisition is a priority and is totally seamless, while we are ensuring that it's in line with regulatory requirements. We also need to find the fine balance between what regulation requires and the optimal user experience. And also the purpose for which the app was built in most cases is largely to optimize sales. So the ability for customers to sell insurance, to buy insurance, or for agents or brokers to sell insurance on the platform is actually very important. And then payments, of course. Payments is something that needs to be coupled in, and it needs to be coupled in such a way that it's easy on the customer and it guarantees revenue for the business. So that's why for most insurance platforms, what we basically recommend is a way to accept payments in such a way that the customer doesn't necessarily have to always be reminded that, oh, his payments is due, because once an insurance policy expires and a customer forgets that his policy has expired, and then there's there's an incident claim, and the customer wants to make a claim. Since his policy has expired, right, he doesn't necessarily have a binding to, you don't have, the insurance company doesn't have a binding to deliver on the claims made. So such experiences are critical in the sense that payments need to be sorted. Then insurance is a product that requires a lot of information. So people need to know what they are getting into when they are buying insurance, right? So that's why whatever insurance platform that is built, it needs to ensure that there is adequate support and engagement in the sense that right in your on your insurance channel, people should be able to get access to all the information they need about almost any insurance product, right? They should have access to a support agent almost real time. They should be able to have access to details of what the insurance product or policy they are getting into. They should be able to download their certificate, their insurance policy certificates on the fly, and they should be able to also make claims almost instantly via any of these channels because incidents happen at almost any time. So, and then more important is the distribution itself, right? So when building the insurance, omni-channel insurance, the key thing that we should be looking out for is the distribution itself. Are we building the right distribution channel so that we can maximize the digitization efforts? Take for example, when insurance is sold, when insurance is sold, right? The idea is that really nobody buys insurance; it is sold. So the channels to the points at which insurance is required is where it should be sold. So vehicle insurance should be sold at a car shop. It should be sold at the what's it called at the vehicle registration shop. Home insurance, for example, should be sold in a real estate company. And things like that. So those are some of the things that you basically need to consider in your as the functionalities and features you should be looking at that you prioritize when building your omni-channel insurance platform. This is something that I think we've done at Digital, specifically, right, for one of our customers in the insurance industry. And the idea is that you can use technology to even help the agents and the traditional channels today, whether they be agents or brokers, to reach a lot more customers. So the capacity for agents, right, to engage agents, for the capacity for agents to engage customers directly on their mobile devices or their desktops or laptops, and also be able to refer insurance products or refer customers to digital channels, right, is key in ensuring that this happens. So what we see is a world whereby the traditional insurance channel users, right, the way in which it is sold, that they will basically become the backbone on which even the digital first customers will ride on. Take, for example, if you wanted to buy a home insurance, for example, right? There are a couple of, you'll be given a lot of information to consume, right? And the truth is, most users don't read. Most users don't read, right? It's just a known fact. So at that point, it would be nice to engage an insurance agent. And imagine if an insurance agent can engage you directly while you are still trying to decide what insurance product to buy. When you're downloading the app, an insurance agent is notified that, oh, somebody has downloaded the app, is 5 or 10 minutes away from you. And based on that, he can ring you up, you can arrange a meeting, and then he can put you through on what insurance product is best for you, because insurance basically most times is tailor-made, especially life insurance. Your needs will be assessed, and also your income, and then we'll decide what kind of insurance you want. Same thing too for vehicle insurance. So those are ways in which we feel that the traditional channels will be able to bridge the gap with the digital first customers. One key thing that goes with most digital transformation projects is, or a few key things that we've seen is migration of legacy data. So migrating legacy data is actually crucial in ensuring the success of these such platforms, as well as supporting legacy data sources, as so that whether they have digital previous old digital records or even old non-digital records, those things can be migrated into the new platform. And that process will also require that there should be some changes in user behavior. But that user behavior basically means that the company also needs to invest in training the users on how to use new platforms, right? So these two key things or three key things, which is one, the training, two, the migration of user legacy data, and three, ensuring the availability of even the legacy data or ensuring being pluggable to legacy systems are possibly the most critical factors in ensuring the success of such endeavors. Today, there are guidelines, right? There are guidelines given by the regulators to ensure that we have data secured. So such guidelines should be followed. We also recommend the guidelines provided by the ISO organization, specifically for information security. Those guidelines are very crucial, as well as although I understand that, yes, insurance companies don't necessarily are not necessarily payment companies, but I think there are some takeaways and learnings that can be taken off the PCI certification, PCI certification engagements that can be put into the use of the use in development of digital insurance products, because we are not just talking about some form of financial data. There is also personal data, of which the personal data, if compromised, could be detrimental in many ways. People's health information, people's contact information, information about their families. Some of these things are stored in insurance company within the data warehouses of insurance companies, and these things need to be secure, because violation of these rules also mean that the insurance companies could be fined, and people also are put at a security risk. So even the balance of or that is due or to some people who have life insurance, for example, their lives could be at risk if people know that, okay, if somebody is bites the dust, there is a 1 billion naira to be shared. So everybody wants to. So those are kind of reasons for which the 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 security is very important. And of course, data encryption, normal things, the typical security certificates and obfuscation of data, those things are critical as well. In recent times, what we've seen in is that we believe that artificial intelligence is going to play a very key role in insurance. In fact, someone still reached out to me just this morning requesting for how they can bring AI into some of the insurance products in the Nigerian market. And this is crucial because insurance mostly is largely personal. And because since insurance is largely personal, there is usually one of the best ways is to ensure that it is personalized. And two is that insurance has to be data driven, in the sense that there is need for a lot of data mining to ensure that the right information is being presented, or the right set of tools or products are suggested to the customers. So take, for example, if you have an insurance product from a specific customer, right, that you have that a policy, for example, let's assume that you sell home insurance, let's assume that you sell vehicle insurance to maybe 25-year-old or a thereabout, you should be able to tell at what point if this person is going to require some form of life insurance, and then be able to cross-sell that based on data that you have about his level of income, whether he's married and with kids, or you should be able to tell when you should be selling him home insurance as well. So this artificial intelligence one, and also having to mine a lot of data is going to be very critical in ensuring that digital payments have actually come to stay, right? And that will actually aid ensure that in our climb that insurance can be easily sold. So the idea is that if people want to buy insurance now, take for example, I'm in the garage, I want to buy life insurance, right? Assuming I'm a bus driver, I should be able to go to an agent kiosk, right? I'm going to pay my premium at the end of every month, right? So that at the end of the year, or I should be able to recoup something in my savings. So those are some of the things that we envisage that is going to change the way insurance works. For the personalized customer experiences, right? Like I mentioned earlier, artificial intelligence is one of the key things that could be used. Basically, gathering data about the customer, using it to define and cross-sell other insurance products that are important to that and that can be suggested to the customer. So let me give you a clear example. So I have an insurance with an insurance company, and the mode of payment is terrible. So what happens is at the end of every month, the agents, because I was referred by an agent, and there's no app, and the agent, and there's no app. So what happens is that at the end of every month, the agents will call me, message, and sometimes I will spend all my money. So it's clear that they are losing a share of my pocket every month. And for a while, because of the approach, right, I've just chosen just to ignore paying. Because if I had a more comfortable way that, oh, okay, here's my card linked to my salary account at the 26th or 20th of every month, just take out the money I'm going to take out of my account. That would work, and that will also be good for me, because at the end of every month, my savings on that insurance platform is guaranteed. But the truth is, at the moment, that company, although very big insurance company here, is not doing that. So that's one. And then the idea behind personalized insurance is seeing that by assessing my age, by assessing my marital status, by assessing my current employment status, it would be nice if the insurance company that I bought a vehicle insurance from will be able to tell and decipher that, oh, Tunde will need a home insurance now, or Tunde will have a life insurance, will require a life insurance now, because I don't purchase insurance from the same company from which I'm buying a life. I don't purchase insurance from the life company, the vehicle insurance company that I use, although they might have a life insurance license, but those are the things that these guys are missing out on. One of the key metrics to look out for is the growth, right? So it's not just in terms of how many number of customers or subscribers that I've acquired. You need to look out for how many active subscribers that you have and at what rate are they growing. So that will basically inform how you will build your insurance, what's it called, your product, or make changes to it accordingly. And then in addition to that, we should also be looking at the value and the count of a policy sold. So the goal is largely distribution, and distribution of what services, of which the value of insurance should, and the growth and the rate at which it's being sold should be growing, because to be candid, it's a financial business, right? And there should be growth. So if there is no growth, or if there is stagnation, then there is a problem. Now, we should also be thinking about the number of repayments, what I mean, the policy renewals. So the idea is that when people buy insurance from you, you should be, one of the key things you should be measuring, what percentage of these customers are actually even renewing their insurance policies with you. That will give you a key indicator of what your strengths are, or what you are doing well, or what you're doing wrong. So that will also help you measure your churn as well. So I think those are the key things that are important. Then lastly is for for the claims, right, you need to also look out for which portion of your claims are valid. So, because in the industry today, we also understand that there are fraud claims, right? Fraudulent claims. So there should be ways in which you track fraudulent claims so that you're not just onboarding customers that are also defrauding the business. So these key things are crucial and important. One of the challenges we've seen in the market in trying to digitize the insurance business is that much of insurance is sold via brokers, right? And since they are sold via brokers, there's usually the incentive of, oh, I want to retain my what's it called? My contacts, right? But what we've seen is that for forward-thinking insurance businesses, right, they've actually incorporated this into their into their whole digitization strategy, in the sense that they've even set up applications in such a way that their targets, their agents or their brokers are given financial targets, and based on the targets, they are rewarded, and those things are gamified, right? And rewards are given based on the targets met. So there is even more incentive for the agents, or even what's it called, the brokers, to use such platforms, and also using such platforms ensure that customers can be onboarded faster. So imagine that all you can do from your app as an agent, you can share a form automatically or help a customer onboard directly within your own app, and you can onboard as instead of having to wait for many send the customer a form and then follow up for him to fill things electronically. All those things you do for the customer, and you onboard more customers, and it's done in such a way that you're also tracking your progress, you're also tracking your sales, and then you have a very quick inventory within the app of where you can get and find access to all your customers. So if you find an interesting insurance product that your customer can buy, right within the app, you can just quickly chat him up and let him know what's good. So there's actually a world where the insurance agents and the insurance agents as well as the brokers can leverage this technology and use it massively. It's just very similar to what happens in the agency banking basis today and the agency banking aggregators. The aggregators have not, the agency banking players have not put the aggregators out of business. And in fact, they form a very key role. They form a very key, vital part of the value chain in the agency banking business. So I think brokers and agency banking and the agents, the insurance agents, have a very pivotal role to play. And also, they can also offer some form of consulting services, right, by providing the right information that the customers will require to ensure that they make the right decision when purchasing an insurance product. This is where I think the agents come into play. So the thing is that insurance to a large extent is very technical, right? Most of the terms used, um, um, you have to really read a lot for you to know what you're getting into. And ensuring that an agent is there to guide you is important. One. Two is the user experience, and it's also valid. For example, I think there was one insurance, if you're going to buy insurance, there's a portal I know that you can go and buy insurance on today, but when you get there, you will get lost, right? So there's a clear problem in terms of defining the user experience. And I think what has happened is that our local institutions here, insurance, have basically tried to import the same UX that people who are selling insurance abroad are doing. So they'll tell you, go to our website, request for a quote. But the truth is that I don't want to request for a quote. I just want to buy insurance. And if you tell me request for a quote, it's the old traditional way. You request for a quote, it goes to the back office. Somebody at the back office now respond to you on the quote. And now, to me, that's not an intelligent way to sell insurance to people in Nigeria or in Africa, because one, we are impatient. Two, we don't read, right? And so the UX to a large extent has to be redefined, and needs to be redefined very quickly, because if it is not redefined, the businesses will be building applications and then they'll just say that their strategies are not working. And that is the point. That is the point at which we also think, apart from the UX, we also think that the insurance agents and the brokers also can give some form of value. They'll be able to interpret those technical terms, but those technical terms should be still be simplified to a very large extent to the customer. Most insurance companies typically kind of shy away from a certain age, right? I'm not sure if the retirees are one of them. However, leveraging again the strength of an agent network, right, is crucial and important to working with retirees. So just the same way, in the time past, ATMs were used to have cash. Let me put it that way. Because today most ATMs don't have cash. The agents have taken off the cash. So you go to an ATM and you want to use the ATM to withdraw money for yourself, but um you now meet an aged person there, and sometimes you have to help the person. I think leveraging the strength of an insurance agent or a broker will actually help drive that as well. And that's why I think that there's still a lot of value that these insurance agents and brokers will bring to the table. Two is ensuring that the user experience is as easy as possible, right? And as fluid as possible, rather. So that is crucial. But you know that UX is basically something that people of the younger generation really a lot clear about a lot more. So that's why I think for the retirees, right, or the aged customers, that hand holding, right, is required, especially scenarios whereby there are claims, right, and you are having to deal with people who are not so educated, right? So those things are crucial. The applications where I mentioned AI would be used is where you already have access to data, right? But I also understand that if we can have access to third-party information of some sort, right? So take, for example, with your BVN, for example, or with your NIN, we can get some information about you. Imagine if that information was a lot richer. Imagine if at the hospital, right, we found a way to match your phone number to your BVN, and then we're able to get information about your family, right? So those are some of the things that we feel that having to leverage APIs, not AI now, can achieve. But then you need all that information in, of which AI can then begin to process. So AI might not necessarily solve that problem in a scenario whereby we don't have information to work with. So I think the stage we are at right now is a stage whereby there's a need for a lot of collaboration among all the stakeholders and among all the players in the entire market. Okay, so we are back to this cultural issue, right? So, not to throw shades at any Gen Z here. One of the things that seem to define the Gen Z today is instant gratification. One thing that insurance does not guarantee is that it does not guarantee instant gratification. It only guarantees safety in the event that there's a what's it called? There's an event, there's an incident, or some of reward at the end of your savings, right? So the idea now is that today Gen Zs actually use a couple of channels to get stuff done. Now imagine that these channels, right, they can be engaged on those channels and insurance can be sold and pushed to them. The truth is that insurance is never bought, it is always sold. It is always, you are compelled, it's not something that you go out of your way to buy. Something will force you to buy insurance. And imagine if that is being put into all the what's it called? All the scenarios where insurance is sold, right? And all the existing channels where that happens. So that's why I think you need to get insurance as a channel across to all those Gen Z channels, be it the banking apps they use, be it the chat apps they use, embedding insurance and distributing via APIs, or even put it at the local agency shop where they do that. So that's why I think you can actually get that in. Also, it can be gamified, but the question is, what rewards are you going to give them for what rewards are you going to be giving, right? So if it is possible that they get some form of instant value, I think they can get some form of instant value. But the truth is, I also know that insurance companies are one of the most frugal, just like asset management companies. So there's usually there's usually not much money to throw around, right? So the question is, the insurance companies need to figure out what incentives that will work, whether maybe a raffle of some sort. But yes, these things can be done. But the APIs are actually key in making this happen. Today, I understand that the the technical people in the insurance, they have ways in which they define this. I want to believe that in most of those institutions today, those things are sitting on some Excel, um, what's it called, formulas, right? And those are opportunities for digitization that can things that can be digitized as well. And then in addressing it accurately, to be candid, right, is largely a guess, just like you have with credit scoring, right? You are also going to be scored on how worthy you are for an insurance, and then a couple of factors going like your age, what's your health habits, as well as your um what's it called, the possibility or your proclivity to some certain health challenges or risks, basically, depending on the kind of insurance you're going from, especially life. So there are tools, right? But largely from where I sit, most of those tools have been basically somebody just takes in that information, programs it into some form of Excel formula that he uses. And then when people bring in their information, they go in, plug it in, and then gives them their value, and then they take it out and then put it back into their underwriting application. But this entire thing can be digitized, just the same way credit scoring today in the bank works, right? So to a large extent, right, before the advent of the likes of carbon, a lot of credit was being assessed manually, right? When I mean manually, plugged into Excel of some sort, until real-time tools were built that will do the assessment. Clearly, um, insurance is still quite way behind the banking business in Nigeria in terms of digitization and transformation efforts. And I think just like we had fintech players come in and challenge the banks to agency banking, I feel very strongly that this is the next frontier that the fintechs will be going after, right? And we've seen this play out. So we've seen fintechs acquire some HMOs in recent times, and they've done some very interesting things with them. And I think that if if the traditional insurance institutions don't make necessary adjustments, we just might find out again that there will be another OP first money rift in the market, or money points first money rift in the market. So I think it's at best that let the people who already have the customers, let them digitize, and let them digitize fast, because the market is not waiting.